Hello, what have we here?
You're wrong.
Damn! What the hell was that?
Game over, man. Game over.
You're wrong.
You finished?
Well, I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Greetings, boys and girls, lemurs and squirrels, and welcome to the Week in Geek, a wholly owned subsidiary of Free Range Idiocy, wherein we present our midweek dose of geekery for you, the people. Sit back and relax as we scrape the best news we found off the bottom of the interweb shoe and let you know exactly how we feel about it. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the lead editor-in-chief bottle washer of the Week in Geek. I give you the man they call Tim.
Evolution is a mystery full of change that no one sees.
I'm sorry,
Clock
Lemmy. I'm sorry.
Makes a fool of history. Yesterday is too long ago. Don't agree with what I know. Tomorrow, I got no place to be. I see the line in the sand. Time to find out who I am. Looking back to see where I stand. Evolution.
Lemmy, I'm so sorry. Wherever you are, Lem, I'm sorry.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. How are you? That is a little Christopher Walken evolution right there, my friend.
It was. I'm doing well, except now I'm a little flummoxed as to how to feel after that. Quite honestly, I'm not sure how to feel. I am aghast.
A booyaka.
How are you, sir?
I am well. I am doing well. I am, just living the dream. Coming off a weekend with a couple naps, nice bike ride. Got myself a new stealth dishwasher today. So,
I know the B2 of the dishwasher world is now residing in the manual.
In the palatial estates.
It's so stealthy he can't even find it. He's still pulling out the silverware drawer and putting dirty stuff in there.
I got a dirty dish. What do I do with it? Can't find it. Where'd it go?
Jesus.
Yes.
I can't tell you how envious I am of you, the nap, sir, because I've for whatever reason, like that superpower has kind of left me. Like I cannot nap as well as I used to, which I would think as I'm getting older, I'd be able to nap easier. Isn't that how it's supposed to work? Some
of it is, I think, activity induced, though. So I do a 1 hour workout Saturday morning with my trainer.
Saying I'm a slug or something?
No. I'm saying like I get up at 6 a.m. So like I don't sleep in really on Saturday mornings really ever. So I get up at 6:30. I'm at the gym 7:30. Back home probably like 8:45. Now that it's warmer summertime, the French market is out, so my wife and I go there to get veggies for dinner for the weekend. A few other things.
Carton of cigarettes,
Carton of cigarettes. Hey, apparently,
unfiltered, of course.
Honey is in high demand, or at least high supply, because there's like five honey distributors here. I never realized honey had such a hot market for it.
From bees that smoke.
Maybe.
Because they're French bees.
Could be. Oui. And then I run, maybe the grocery store, a few errands, whatever. So I'm back like home at 11:30. So I've been like going for like almost 5 straight hours, right? And I feel this lethargy fall over me. Like, okay, I could actually go to sleep. Like if I do my normal work day where I just kind of get up and then sit down and start working on the computer, I don't feel that nap thing coming on the same way.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying for me, I think it's activity induced, because if I move around a lot, I get tired. So then I take a 1 hour, recharge right back up, get back to it, and did some cleaning around the house, and then I did a 13-mile bike ride, and it was living the dream, baby, living the dream.
I think partly for me, the other aspect that really kills this for me is I can sleep at night if I manage to get to sleep.
Yeah.
If I wake up in the middle of the night, I usually don't have a big problem falling back asleep. Like that is not. I like my wife, on the other hand. If she wakes up in the middle of the night, it's a fight for her to fall back asleep.
Yeah.
I can usually wake up and roll over, go back to sleep, get a drink of water, fall back asleep. When I nap in the afternoon, if something wakes me up, that's it. That the nap is now over. I cannot re-enter the nap. I'm done. Even if I just like nod it off for like 10 minutes, that's it. No more nappy nap for you. Time to get up and join the real world again.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of sucks. So there's a lot of times I feel like there's a little nap anxiety because I'm like, everything's got to be quiet. I need an hour. Then, 12 minutes in, the cat decides to like yowl. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
You're screwing with my arrangements.
I turn into Abe Vigoda. And then the cat garrots me from behind.
Indeed.
But hey, whatever you're going to do.
That's right. That's right.
Anyways, so we are here at the Week in Geek. And number one, I just want to greet our listeners / viewers from around the world, filling out the top 5 of our top 5 areas. Of course, the first being the U.S. After that, once more, good day to Australia. Hello to the Netherlands. Bienvenue to Canada, who has crept into the top 5. And hello to Germany. Thank you all for, sprechen Sie Idiocy. We appreciate you all listening. And now, sir, over to you. You run this thing, so what are we talking about?
Well, much to my chagrin, I thought we were going to lead off with a different article. And by the way, I had a whole other, thing going for my walk-in intro, but you'll experience that in the next show that we do here.
Okay,
so.
I can't wait.
Oh yeah, you'll appreciate it. Evolution. But nonetheless, from ScreenRant.com, this one has been in the hopper for probably a better part of a month and a half, and we've been kicking the can for a variety of reasons, happenings that are going on in the wrestling world, our lack of discipline and organization, you name it. It's not
mostly
us.
that last one, honestly.
Probably, yeah, very much so. But the article is entitled "Back to the Future's ending is even darker than I imagined, thanks to the movie's time travel rules."
Oh boy,
are you intrigued?
I am.
Okay, right.
I am. I am Twitter-pated, as a matter of fact.
Oh, very nice. Oh, actually, you know what? I just screwed up and went in the wrong order, but that's okay. I will pivot and off we go.
You were hoping to have that one last, so you would be able to boot it again, weren't you?
So the reason why I brought this article up, because oftentimes as I am sleuthing the interwebs, I come across many stories, and some I have to toss to the side and say, meh. Some are just like, come on, what are you talking about?
I love how you act like we have high standards.
Hey,
when it's actually the exact opposite.
We have very high standards.
We don't.
Whether it goes into my keep notes or not is the standard. So. Yes, indeed. The vapors. He's feeling it.
I need a ginger ale. Feeling low blood sugar from that.
But this one is interesting, and I have Chat GPT this, so I don't need to go into any detail and read for you. So we'll have the article up in the show notes. But the summary, the headline, if you will, is that the dark ending comes from this idea, and I have to admit there is something to this.
All right.
The film's ending,
yes,
while seemingly happy, is actually unsettling. Marty returns to a version of his life that he's never experienced, where his family is unfamiliar and he has no memories of them. Now, I have seen Back to the Future, I don't know how many times. I've watched this movie over and over and over again. And every time you get to the end and you see the hero has vanquished the villain. His parents are his father is confident. His parents are in love. They still somehow live in the exact same house, but everything looks shinier and nicer.
That is the odd bit right there.
It's very interesting. You'd think if his dad had that measure of success as an author, they might have moved to a different part of town. Who knows? Maybe a completely different town for that matter. But nonetheless, the McFlys, they don't change, they don't budge. And it never once occurred to me when he sees this, he kind of climbs back into the house. I think if I remember right, when the dust settles, he makes his way home, Doc drops him off, and he kind of goes to the back of the house and climbs in the window for his bedroom and just goes to sleep. And he wakes up and he finds his older brother isn't a slob. His sister is, basically, has men throwing themselves at her. She has so many dates she doesn't know what to do with. His parents are, just flirting in front of the kids, which is like, compared to the beginning of the movie where it's, you had the old McFly charm going on there. You're just like, man, what the hell? But it was just so funny because it's like it's the polar opposite of the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
And yet it never once occurred to me he has no idea about any of these people because all he knows is what he came from. And I never thought of it that way. And I don't know that it makes it darker for me, but it's just like, that's a really good point.
Well, it's a really good point, and you could take it in a dark direction, although it's not immediate because, Marty, the immediate response, I think, is what most people get out of that ending is like, wow, everything is fixed. Like, he has a memory of who they used to be. And so seeing them be better versions of themselves is welcome because it's like, wow, and this is what I've always dreamed of, and yada, yada, yada. And even if you go, full bore altruistic, like, this is what I want for the people that I love, yada, yada, yada. I think that it's then thinking about, okay, the next day or a couple days later or the week later or the month later, and they start talking about stuff that happened. And you realize that even though they have that wonderful experience and they have that wonderful life, you still have the crappy one and all the crappy memories of these people. And even though they're these people now, and you're like, well, that's great. Yeah, that would be kind of dark after a while, and realizing like, oh, okay, yeah, this is all great for them, but I didn't live through that.
Right.
I had a horrible childhood, or my childhood was much worse, and I didn't get to experience that. And I could see there being some resentment of then, like, well, how come I didn't get to go to the Grand Canyon with everybody, rather than, the septic lake, for vacation or whatever. Like, why didn't I get that? And in a way, it's like it almost, you wonder, given this new information and this new perspective, if his decision to turn around and go with Doc immediately isn't some realization of that, of like, I don't really belong here, even though this is my family and I love them and I want the best for them. Like, this version of me really doesn't belong here anymore because I'm a product of that. No, that's an excellent point, dude. I never really thought of that. And like, well, the psychological and the emotional, not reaction, but the implications of that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's that. It was worth the wait on this.
You think?
Yes. Yeah. I'm now going to be thinking about this all night. Thanks.
All right. But and the article continues, that it, talks about how there is, and if you think about it, there's now this alternate Marty McFly. So when you think about the end of the movie and he's, running to the shopping mall to try to save Doc, this is, again, if you think about this too much, yes, elements of the story can kind of fall apart a little bit. The fact that he returns to 1985 and everything is playing out the exact same way it played out when he left, even though he's done a few things to change the conditions of several people, right? And what this brings up is the Marty McFly that we see, even though we're familiar with what happened at the beginning of the movie and is playing out exactly in the same way before us, that is a second Marty McFly, though. That is a Marty McFly that has lived through that experience of this new family. And so now that Marty has taken off and time traveled.
Well,
so it's kind of, because if you think about it, right?
Well, but then does the change happen when Marty comes back? Or does a change happen immediately there? Because
I think it has to happen when he comes back.
Well, yeah, but in that case, that is that he's watching himself. Because if it isn't until he comes back that everything sort of switches around, that's still him. So, I mean, theoretically, if we really want to mind bend this a little bit, when he leaves his house to go meet Doc, that's still the old family. And when he is snuck back now, and wait a minute.
You're realizing.
Well, no, because yes. So when he's left his house, that's the old family, because he has not come back from the past at that point. So when he is coming back from the past, he's already his now Marty Prime is still at the shopping mall. So if everything kind of changes when he reappears and everything kind of catches up, then his family changes at that moment. So he would have never seen that.
Except when he runs to the mall, the sign is no longer Twin Pines Mall; it's Lone Pines Mall.
Exactly, but again,
So so my contention, this is my theory, is that the die is cast as soon as his dad punches Biff. That starts a sequence of events now where, yes, his parents are together, and yes, they will have the kids, which again, theoretically is also kind of maybe not possible because we don't know what this version of George and Lorraine are actually going to do. You know what I mean? You're assuming everything in their life plays out the exact same way. So they have the kids at the exact same time. You know, that's where you have to suspend a little bit of the
that and the fact that at some point they don't realize like this young son that we have looks an awful lot like, you know, the kid that we remember from the prom, and that his mom is like, this is weird.
So my contention is when he travels and when he gets back to 1985, that at that moment, that is now I don't want to say the new timeline, but the timeline where things are different for his family. Because George and Lorraine have lived their lives, right?
Yeah.
And so if you play this out and think about it that way, then when he gets to the mall, yes, he sees himself. And again, this is where I think things kind of maybe, I don't want to say fall apart, but get a little shaky, is there's this assumption that the events we see at the beginning of the movie are playing out in the exact same way. And if you were to really be true to time travel, as soon as you start changing things, you don't know. George and Lorraine, like that picture he had of himself where he's disappearing from existence and his brother and sister did too, that could still hold even though they're together, because they may choose to have kids at a different point in time.
Yeah.
George is a different man than the George that we saw when we started the story, you know? And so it's kind of interesting to think about, because it does it's a butterfly effect. Like one little change can just ripple and cause massive change later on. And so what this article is bringing up is the fact that in a way, the Marty that we were following through the movie comes back and sees now the second Marty who has lived life with that family, has now taken the car and done, you know, the time travel still, but it is in a way a different Marty. You know, it's not the same Marty that we started off with, which I thought was kind of an interesting
but then don't you create an endless loop of
Marty, then that gets into the next thing is, now do we have a paradox? Because, you know, the second Marty, or is the timeline even stable? Because now we have the second Marty who's not the same as the first Marty. And anyways, and it gets into this the theory that the second Marty, maybe he needs to be removed from, you know, the timeline to maintain its integrity, potentially leading to his death. However, this would be uncharacteristically cruel act for Doc Brown. So that's something the article kind of theorizes about, that the second Marty maybe needed to be eliminated because of the first Marty coming back. But to your point, how does the circle start then? You know, it just causes like some crazy mind Jenga, if you will.
You're gonna make me go to just straight bourbon here in a minute. Which is all, again, brings us around to full circle to the fact that, you know, we learned in Avengers Endgame that, you know, Back to the Future is bullshit. So
so Tony hath said it, so it is.
Wasn't it Bruce Banner who said it though, or confirmed it? I know that Rhodey.
Oh, you know what? I think you're right. I think it is Banner who said it. I think what I'm thinking of is when Tony
originally says it. Now I think they confirm it, but yeah,
Tony's basically like, "Please tell me you're not convincing me of something that was inspired by Back to the Future." Good, because if you did, I'd say you're crazy. The last point that this article just touches on is again this idea that the kind of the phrasing they use is unavoidable existential dread, and that the Marty that returns ends up in a life with no connection to his past, leaving him to live in a world that is not the one he remembers or belongs to, creating an existentially troubling outcome. Now, we see what happens in 2 and 3. To your point, he and Doc then jump to the future, comes back to the past, or goes back into the distant past in the late 1800s, and then finally returns in 1985. And we get the sense that he is starting to live his life in this new reality where his family is much more well off and are much more put together. But yeah, overall, I just thought it was kind of an interesting, just an interesting thought experiment to, kind of think about what would really happen, in that event where you, basically, are a character who makes changes that does better the people in your life, but you don't get to really experience that betterment. By the time you get back, they've already lived, through all of that. And
Are you saying that Marty fought for a sunrise that he never got to see?
everything.
Can we get an edit of that?
It all comes back to Lutheran Rail, ladies and gentlemen.
And how would Marty have said it? Everything.
Great Scott, everything. Or as Christopher Walken would say, everything.
Yeah. You got to make sure the emphasis is off. That's the entire secret.
You got to have the off balance emphasis.
Wow, I was not expecting us to have a talk of quantum mechanics and time travel to lead this off the show.
Well, I think
I would have gotten a better night of sleep, honestly.
Well, kind of makes you think a little bit. I'm just kind of going through any other points here I might have missed. Let's see.
Anything?
I'm just looking.
Bueller. I can't tell if you're confused, reading, or have gas.
No, I'm just. Let's see. Yeah, like I don't know that I agree with the idea that Doc would like try to kill Marty. That's just kind of weird. That goes off into a place.
It is, but at the same time, Doc is a bit of a rogue. Is a bit of a loose cannon in this series. I don't know.
Well, and you have to figure too, the Marty that has lived in this new timeline or this refurbished version of his life, what is his motivation to go back in time? Like Doc, if Doc is aware of what's going to happen, maybe he concocts a story to get him to do it, and the whole thing plays out with the terrorists and everything else, and he does go back in time, but now when he goes back to 1955. Does he cross paths with the other Marty?
Well, and that's the thing. Does he pull a Steve Rogers and just go back and kind of quietly, realize like, oh, if I do anything, I'm going to mess up what my predecessor did. So I'll just quietly go off and live my life.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to move from that dark Back to the Future story to something a little bit lighter. Also from our friends at ScreenRant.com. Back to the Future's opening scene gives away the movie's plot in 6 big ways.
I was looking at these others. I'm like, I don't know if any of these are really brighter.
Okay, all right. Gotcha. Are you ready, sir?
Sure.
I'm just going to run through them real quick. So 6 ways that the opening. So if you remember the opening, Marty McFly is essentially walking into Doc Brown's pad. His I don't know what to call it. He kind of lives in a garage or of some kind. He doesn't have the big mansion anymore. He's kind of just living in a garage with all of his experiments, and but the camera kind of pans over a bunch of clocks and various things that are there, and it goes across a few inventions of his. I think isn't there like a machine that opens up a can of dog food and spills it sloppily into a bowl. But number 6, apparently as it's going through all of as it's panning through all of the clocks in Doc Brown's living quarters, there is a clock that shows a man who is hanging off of the minute sign. And so the idea here is that this is meant to, let me see, the unusual timekeeper that featured the actor Harold Lloyd hanging from the hands of a clock from the film Safety Last. I guess it was a old movie, but yet it also in a way predicts what Doc will be doing later on in the movie, which is in order to get Marty to get back to 1985, he has to go to the top of the clock tower to reconnect the two wires, and he is at one point hanging off of the minute hand of the clock. So that is the first one.
Okay.
The next one is the newspaper clippings, which the camera does pan over. It shows Brown Mansion destroyed. But the newspaper clippings explain how Doc was able to experiment for decades. And this is something that I think does get kind of glossed over a little bit, where, Doc must have at some point in time, and we kind of see in 1955, he does seem very well off. He lives in a very nice house, and has not yet been thought of as kind of a crackpot of sorts. But yeah, so it basically kind of alludes to the fact that at one point Doc had some money. But he does say to Marty at one point when Marty's recording him in the mall parking lot, and he's talking about the flux capacitor, Doc says to Marty, "It's taken me nearly 30 years and my entire family fortune to realize the vision of that day," of when he hit his head on the toilet and had a vision of the flux capacitor. So it basically kind of tips its cap a little bit to Doc being rather rich, but no longer at this point when we see him potentially.
And possibly insurance fraud, because, the surest way to get money out of that house and still keep the land would have been to burn the house down.
And as you just said, don't put anything past Crazy Doc Brown.
Not when we're getting this deep.
Nope. Number 4, the TV news piece that we see. So as the camera is panning around, the TV kicks on, and there's a news story talking about plutonium theft. Of course, this is something that is very detrimental to the DeLorean time travel car actually being able to time travel. But as we are all too familiar with, as Marty is making his way in, he kind of pushes his skateboard, and the skateboard rolls and eventually stops against a box under Doc's bed, which says radioactive. Which, of all the places to hide something radioactive, I don't know that under the bed would be the first place that I would.
No, but it's the first place Doc would, I think.
That is true. And if Doc is comfortable sleeping with some plutonium under his bed, I guess we all should.
I don't know about that, but, whatever.
Number 3, Marty's entrance with his skateboard showcased skills he would later rely on. So, of course, we do see the skateboard, and that does become a major part of his identity and what he does both in 1985 and later in 1955.
True.
When he uses his skateboarding skills to hoodwink Biff and his cohorts into driving into a truck full of manure. Let's see. Number 2, the plutonium on the floor connects Doc to the stolen goods. We've actually already talked about this with the news report. So he actually says plutonium, handle with care and radioactive. So yeah, Doc is very, very comfortable with plutonium in his living quarters. And finally, the number 1 giveaway in the opening shot is, of course, the iconic scene where Michael J. Fox takes what is entirely a too small of a guitar, straps it to himself, lifts the pick high, and does the fateful strum in front of the massive, massive amplifier speaker that then blows him backwards through the room. And yet we see later on in the movie his guitar playing skills when he does the iconic, I'll say it again, iconic, I'm kind of turning into Michael Cole, Johnny B. Good rendition in 1955.
Well, no, it would be vintage.
Well,
Marty
I know
McFly.
instead of saying vintage, I just say iconic all the time.
Oh,
so.
okay, that works.
So, sir, thoughts on these 6 items, all layered into this intro? You thought this intro was just kind of a, just a little kind of setting the table of what is to come, but not giving away a whole lot. What do you think about this?
It's great foreshadowing. I think it's a nice little, few Easter eggs for people. But yeah, I don't think it gives away everything, but it's nice little foreshadowing. I like it, and I honestly, I can say I don't think I noticed any of those.
A couple of them are a little like this one about the guy hanging from the clock. Like you had to be like really paying attention to catch that is so freaking small. I'm just like, really? Come on now.
But it goes to show like how iconic this movie is that people go through like frame by frame and are analyzing and looking for this stuff.
Yep.
So yeah. No, I mean, it's well done. Well done.
All right. We finally got through both of the Back to the Future articles.
Done. I feel cleansed right now.
And yet
I
we
really
have
do.
three.
I feel like I had a
we
good
have
high
four more to
colonic.
go through. We have 4 more to go through.
Okay.
Not Back to the Future related though, but
That would have been interesting if you managed to find like 4 or 5 articles all having to do with Back to the Future.
yeah. That'd be a little
When
much.
on a year that's not really an anniversary for any of them.
No.
I don't believe.
Not really. Oh, it's 2025.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be 40 years since 1985? We are in the year 2025.
holy spit! You're right. Yeah. Look at you and your math.
I've done it again. And it was completely planned.
Okay.
All right, our next article. I'll see if I can do the theme music right. It is Stranger Things, ladies and gentlemen. Have you, sir, finally ventured into the realm of
No.
Stranger Things? Oh my gosh, you got to watch it with Kaylin. You got to watch it with Kaylin. She's gonna love it.
You know, there are so many shows that I have just not watched. And you know the reason why?
Yes.
I just don't have time.
Oh,
I just
Oh.
don't.
you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me.
I haven't watched episode 2 of Severance yet. Not season 2, episode 2.
Well, you got to start making time for these things, sir.
Sure, I'll just quit my day job. Why not? I'm sure that'll go over well.
I'll skip mowing the lawn one Saturday just so I can watch a couple episodes.
Oh my gosh, our lawn has been like the bane of everyone's existence
I
on
pulled
Main
that out
Street
of
here.
thin air, so sorry.
Because my lawnmower has been busted for weeks, and of
Oh,
course this is
no.
the time of year when everyone is realizing, oh, my lawnmower is dead.
Oh,
So I've had
no.
to wait and wait and wait, and so we had to hire someone like twice over the past month and a half to mow our lawn. And the problem being, like, it's rained so much
Yeah.
that as soon as a friggin' sun comes out, I can hear it growing like corn.
Mm.
So it was like, mid shin level out there. And I'm sure our neighbors were all just like, oh my gosh, the crack house sort of thing. I'm like, listen, if I had my lawnmower in working condition,
Yep.
it'd be done, but I don't.
I'd be all over it. Be all over it.
Yeah, so lawnmower is a little gives me a tick right now.
Well, sir, I want to encourage you if you can find the time. If you can find the time. If you can't, I understand.
Okay.
But if you
No,
can,
you don't. No,
if
you
you
don't.
can,
No, you don't.
before your daughter goes off to college, I
Mm.
think it would be great family bonding. I don't know how your darling wife would appreciate this show, because it is a little scary. It has got
Okay.
a little bit of horror to it,
Okay.
but it is so good. Being a child of the '80s, you will so appreciate this show.
Okay.
But Stranger Things has finally announced. Finally, Stranger Things has announced their debut dates for their 5th and final season, and they are as thusly.
It's shocking, number one, that they've made it to 5 seasons on Netflix, because Netflix loves to cancel something after 2, maybe 3 seasons.
All right, you want to hear something that's really going to pop your noodle?
What?
The first season actually aired in 2016. It's been 9 years.
Well,
and
that
they've
does
had
make
5
sense.
seasons.
It makes sense now, because streaming seasons, because there's so much more high production value packed into these, it seems like it takes a lot longer. Plus, we've had, at least 2 strikes.
Yeah,
I think we've had 2 writers' strikes, and we might have had, I think, an actor's strike in there. So, I mean,
I think it's been 3 years since the last season. Like, it's been
Holy
that
crap.
long. So
those kids ain't no kids no more.
Nope.
All right.
So they have split season 5 thusly into volume 1, which will debut November 26th of 2025, which may or may not be Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving.
I think it's close to it, yeah. It's
And that
last
will
weekend.
consist of 4 episodes.
Okay.
Then they will have another premiere, volume 2, on Christmas Day, December 25th of 2025. And that
Just
will
hitting
be
all the holidays.
3 episodes. Oh, and it gets better.
Okay.
The finale will air, guess?
I'm going to guess like New Year's Eve.
Bingo! You got it.
Of course. Is it like, does it debut
Duffman.
oh my gosh. Does it debut like midnight on New Year's? Or is it like leading up to midnight?
That is a good question. I do not know. They simply gave the dates. So
How do you not know this?
I don't know. That or ChatGPT failed in extracting that.
That's always a possibility.
Because I'm through. I'm done reading the articles for the people. I'm going to.
You have to read the articles, sir. It's my gimmick to not read the articles.
Well, I do read the articles,
That's
but
gimmick infringement is what that
literally
is.
read the article live on air.
Going to take you to idiot's court.
Okay, all right. Well, you got Callaway running that one, or what?
He might.
Or do you got Charles Wright?
Dude, I would love to have Charles Wright as the judge and the jury for Idiot's Court. I just don't think we can afford either of them. Maybe we can afford X-Pac.
I could render a decision, or
who could we get? We might be able to get. No, probably not. I don't know who we could get. Anyways, I'll let it slide. Get
D'Lo Brown with his like rubber.
I don't know.
neck.
He could do that anymore. He's got arthritis.
No,
probably.
that's true. Yeah. But for those who are unaware, season 5 will be set in the fall of 1987. The season will pick up 18 months after the events of season 4, where the town of Hawkins, Indiana, is now under military quarantine. I won't say why, so as to not spoil it for Uncle Todd as he tries to catch up. Okay. But the main cast is returning. We have some new additions. Linda Hamilton is going to be part of the season 5 cast. Yes,
Whoa.
indeed.
All right.
Yes, indeed. Now, this is also a show that Winona Ryder, was part of since season 1. Her star kind of, came back a little bit through the show. David Harbour, this is where he rose to prominence. He, he had been acting, but this show is what really kind of vaulted him. And of course, you know him as Red Guardian from the most recent Thunderbolts movie. Let's see what else. I'm trying to see if there's anything else newsworthy to talk about. That was about it.
Was Carrie Coon in that, or was it one of the other kids?
Carrie Coon
from Ghostbusters.
No, I don't think they have been. No.
Well, no, because it wasn't one or two of the kids in the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie.
Oh, you're thinking of Finn Wolfhard.
Yes.
Carrie Coon was not in Stranger Things. No.
Okay, but Finn totally made up. Finn Wolfhard
was
such a made up
the son
stage name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. I got one.
Millie Bobby Brown. That's where she made. Where she became popular.
She made a Bones.
I made my
she's
bones.
She's worth like $1 billion at this point. She's done quite well for herself.
She has. So this show is something that my family started watching. After the fact. We didn't start watching when it first came out. I think it was 2 seasons in. Maybe it was 3 seasons when we got caught up. No, 2 seasons. Season 3 came out, then we had to wait for 4.
So right around pandemic time.
Basically, yeah, yeah. So yeah, very, very, very good show. So I would highly encourage you to check it out if you haven't. And while you're at it, give Uncle Todd a nudge. I think he could use a little encouragement. All right. Our next article, and let me just check the lineup here. Okay, second to the last article here. We're going to switch from Stranger Things over to Marvel. CinemaBlend.com. Let me pull it up here. Vision Quest, the show that will now be about the new Vision. Will include so this is from the author's perspective. Vision Quest includes one of my favorite Star Trek Picard actors, and I'm intrigued about the villain they're allegedly playing. So yes, this article is basically talking about how Todd Stashwick, who played I don't have his character name in front of me, but he played the captain of the ship that Picard and Riker,
Titan.
The Titan, yes.
Oh my gosh, he was such a delightful a-hole.
Oh my
gosh, he was great.
He was, yes. He is going to be in the upcoming Disney Plus series Vision Quest.
Oh, I'm in right now.
Say no more. He will portray an assassin pursuing Vision for the advanced technology he possesses. The casting will reunite Stashwick with showrunner Terry Matalas, who also was the showrunner for Picard Season 3. So that'll be very, very cool.
Wasn't he the showrunner for all of them, or was he just season 3? Or no, he was season 2 and 3.
I think it was 2 and 3. Yeah, he not for season 1 though. Yeah,
I give him credit for 3. For 2, we need to have a talking.
That's
Unless he deliberately, unless it was like the NFL draft and he deliberately tanked season 2 to make season 3 that much better.
all right.
Then I'm like, I'll give you credit for, playing a different game than everyone else. But otherwise,
Whoa, player.
because season 2 of Star Trek Picard is sort of like how most people think about, Rocky 5. Let's just pretend that never happened. All right.
Except for the parts with Q.
Is it really
everything
canon?
with Q was really well done?
No.
All
everything with
15
Q
minutes of it.
No, it wasn't.
It was phenomenal. It was one of the most touching deaths in all of sci-fi.
It was dumb.
Not to mention we got Wesley return.
And another thing that was dumb. Like another thing that I was just like, it's just dumb, done dumbly. Done dumbly.
Booyaka.
Exactly.
All right. The speculation about Stashwick's character's identity hasn't been confirmed, but it is suggested that he may be playing Paladin, a mercenary character from Marvel Comics. Paladin is known for his superhuman abilities and complex morality, often operating in gray areas between heroism and villainy, which literally is this captain from Picard season 3. Like he was basically, like you said, played the a-hole really well. And then toward the end, was very heroic and very honorable in what he did. And so, it fits.
Yeah, but to me, that's not like going between good and evil. Like he was just sort of like, this is who I am. He was an unrepentant a-hole. Like, this is just who I am. And if you don't like it, tough. But like, you kind of always knew where you stood with him because you're like, he's a jerk enough to tell you in no uncertain terms.
Yeah, indeed.
And to seem like he's really enjoying it too. That was the part that I loved. Like he's a dink, and he knows he's a dink, and he truly is enjoying every single second of it.
He embraces the dink.
Like, look at me filtering right now, folks.
Oh, you are, sir. Man, just
maturity.
Such maturity and growth. I don't know what to say.
Probably shouldn't say anything because it's going to set me up.
Actually,
for something
I do
else.
know what to say. Evolution, baby. It's a theme, ladies and gentlemen. We got a theme rolling here. All right.
It is rather interesting, as I'm at the gym and I'm listening to like the Motorhead Essentials playlist, and all of a sudden, King of Kings or the Evolution theme comes on. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they are known for that.
It's kind of funny.
As far as the series goes, what's really interesting about this, and I'm curious, I want to get your reaction when I say this.
Okay.
This series will follow, of course, the events of WandaVision. It will explore Vision's journey to rediscover his identity and purpose. Here it is. Paul Bettany, which we knew, will reprise his role as Vision.
Okay.
With James Spader returning as Ultron.
Ooh.
Ha-ha! Yes.
I am intrigued.
Series is slated for release in 2026 on Disney Plus.
Like, I've fallen off watching watching Blacklist. Because after a while, it just trying to like watch over and over and over, like in rapid succession. Like after a while, it's like, okay, it's kind of the same show.
Yeah.
Every single time, and it kind of built up on me after like I think I might have gotten through season 2.
Okay.
And I was like, there's another 8 seasons in this. But he is delightful to watch and to listen to. Just his the vocal inflection is amazing. Just smarminess personified. It's delightful. So yeah, if he's going to be back as Ultron, I am so happy.
Nice.
That'd be great.
A couple of additional cast members. Excuse me.
You're excused.
Tania Miller. I'm not familiar with her work as Jocasta, a character described as cunning and powerful, driven by revenge. But here's the one that I am familiar with. Emily Hampshire of Schitt's Creek is reportedly cast as the human embodiment of Tony Stark's AI, Edith, previously featured in Spider-Man Far From Home. So kind of curious to see. She was phenomenal in Schitt's Creek. Wonderful, wonderful character. Wonderful actress.
Who is she in
in Schitt's Creek.
No, in the Spider-Man movie.
Oh,
Oh, she's the voice of
no.
Edith.
So this is what it says. She is reportedly cast as the
Uh-huh.
human embodiment of Tony Stark's AI, Edith.
Oh, okay. So she didn't voice.
She didn't voice it, no, but I think she's actually going to play physically this AI named Edith. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Okay.
But apparently Edith was previously featured in Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes. Which
So, yes.
Edith stands for Even Dead, I'm the Hero.
How do you know this stuff?
Because I just remember random crap instead of things that are really important that I should remember.
And it's such a Tony Stark thing to do. Even dead, I'm still the hero.
It totally is. That's kind of why I remember.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this, sir? I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm all in on that.
And I'm glad they're finally returning to something they started about 5 years ago that we have no real answer to other than...
I mean, I was all excited for Agatha all along because it kind of tied into that, and I don't think I finished that series.
I watched the first episode. I have not made any progress. I need to.
Not that I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I kind of lost track of it somewhere along the way.
All right.
Anywho.
Well, and then we go from Vision to what's coming down the pipeline next Christmas time, 2026.
Ho, ho, ho.
Avengers Doomsday. This article is entitled Avengers Doomsday Rumors Suggest Big Plans for Ian McKellen's Magneto. But the big plans really just have to do with the fact that apparently there were, I believe, let me just double check, that there was, I don't know if it was images or shots of a castle being filmed, and the rumor is that the castle is meant to be Magneto's castle, apparently. So that is the big plans for Ian McKellen's Magneto. Is apparently he's going to be sitting in a castle,
which is about all Ian McKellen can do these days. And that's hey, I'm not throwing any shade at Sir Ian. The dude has made his bones over and over and over again. Same with Sir Patrick Stewart. I've got to say, I'd honestly rather see Fassbender and McAvoy, Magneto and Xavier, because I feel like if you're going forward with this at all, those are, even though they're not as iconic because they're not the originals, I think they both did a great job with those characters and putting their own spin on it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also actors who could give these a little bit more legs, because let's face it, those are old dudes. It's going to be really tough for them to do anything that physically, and I'm not even talking about action sequences. I'm just talking about any kind of physicality. It just gets harder because it's really tough to just not go and be like, oh, he's so frail. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No. And I'll be honest, the one thing that I could never get past with Picard, it didn't ruin it for me, but it just, but it was noticeable was some of the frailty in Patrick Stewart's voice because of his age.
Yeah.
And that's to be expected. I'm not making fun of it. I'm not, complaining about it. It's just, it's one of those things. The only thing I can liken it to is with wrestling and wrestlers knowing when it's time to stop performing in the ring, and the Undertaker's a great example of that. He wanted to continue forward and put on a few more great matches, and his body was failing him. He most famously was the match he had with Roman Reigns about probably 5-6 years ago, maybe more than that, where he just, physically was just performing not well, and apparently needed some surgery, and he was putting it off, and it became apparent that he was struggling to perform. And he's the first one to tell you, I did a disservice to Roman Reigns that night. And so, I like the fact they're trying to use the multiverse as a way to weave in past characters and these franchises that really started the comic, kind of move. But to your point, some of these folks, it almost feels like it's too late in their career for it. So,
I feel like they used Stewart perfectly in Doctor Strange too.
Yes. Oh yeah. That was great. Put him in a wheelchair and have him be that version of.
Well, not even put him in a wheelchair, because I mean, just like a very brief appearance.
Yeah.
And if that's what they're doing with McKellen, awesome. I'm all for it, because his Magneto was iconic.
Yeah.
And if it is a brief appearance, fine, so be it. I'm all for that. I'm just saying, like, if this is the incarnation of the character you're going forward with, I'd much rather see the other version, because again, you have those actors have a lot more to give. They have a lot more time. They have a lot more physically that they can do.
Yeah.
Again, not just in choreographing fight scenes or anything like that, but just physically able to bring to the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without it being like, okay. And that was the other thing with Star Trek Picard, is like, even season 1, like, if Picard is doing anything physical, it's like, I don't care if this is the future.
Yeah.
Like, come on. There's limits. You know? And that just makes it tougher to buy into. Like, because any kind of fiction, any kind of entertainment, there's a suspension of disbelief, and those are the things that can break that disbelief, is when you're like, no. You know, the same thing with Scorsese's movie, The Irishman, apparently, where it's like they have De Niro and they're like, yeah, they de-aged him, but he's a 40-year-old man moving like an 80-year-old man, because they motion captured an 80-year-old man and de-aged him. And unfortunately, you just move differently.
Yeah.
The older you get. And I'll say that I move differently than I did when I was like 20. Of course, it's just the way life works. I'm not trying to say it in a negative way, like it's accusatory, but it's, them's the breaks, man. We're all heading there. So
yep.
It's just, the facts.
Indeed.
You take the good, you take the bad, take them all, and there you have the facts of life.
The facts of life.
Thank you.
All right. That, my friends, is your Week in Geek.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. And what do you have for a recommendation for our listeners/viewers in And Another Thing?
I've kind of already said it, but I'll do it again.
Okay.
Stranger Things on Netflix. I cannot sing praises of this series enough. It is so well done by the Duffer Brothers. And man, I got to tell you, if you were a child of the 80s or a product of the 80s and you're looking for a show that captures the feel, the
je ne sais quoi.
The je ne sais quoi. Thank you. Man, this show nails it. There's just so much about it, and it's hard to really put into words until you sit and experience it. It just does such a great job of taking you back to that time period. It is a story. The early seasons, it's kids, and it's kind of doing these Goonies adventures with some real stakes going on in terms of dealing with kind of this spirit realm and stuff like that. It's hard to explain, and I don't want to say too much because I want Uncle Todd to kind of experience it and be surprised. But
I love your optimism. Thank you.
You are. Yeah, I have faith. I believe. If you will. So yeah, I would just highly recommend it. The first 4 seasons really strong, especially like this last this 4th season. Man, what an ending to it. It was so well done. And the other thing I find really cool is the way they weave the soundtrack and the music into it. I mean, they do such a great job of tapping into the music of that time and weaving it into the show and into the
Well, they've had some of those songs that have they haven't charted since the 80s.
Yeah, Kate Bush is the one who most recently.
Well, no, there was a Metallica song too, like one of the. I think it was off of one of their first albums that recharted back up, on the singles chart.
Yep.
Out of nowhere, just because it was on Stranger Things.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool. I mean, that's kind of cool that it does breathe new life into those things. And I do appreciate that, rather than just being kind of a rehash. Like all of a sudden, like you see something in a different way, and someone who's like the thing that blew me away is mentioning Aerosmith around Kaylin, and she's like, "Oh, I know them." I'm like, "What do you know about Aerosmith?" And she had Dream On one of her playlists.
Wow.
Because it was, very dramatic, and she would kind of listen to that while she was writing. And I'm like, that's really cool. Like you're kind of taking that from a different headspace than I did as a kid. Like I didn't think of it as like dramatic. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is and I think about it now. I'm like, well, if I'd had a better vocabulary at my age that she has, I would be like, oh yeah, it's dramatic. But it's kind of cool when you see that. But
Nice.
anyways, I'm stepping on your toes.
What is yours, sir? Since mine is Stranger Things.
I'm going to reach back into the bottom and grab a cold one from the bottom here. Smokey and the Bandit, a classic of American cinema. I just rewatched this a few days ago, and then I started in on Smokey and the Bandit 2 the other day when I was just sitting around. I'm like, what the hell, why not? But Smokey and the Bandit, man, it's one of those flicks that the premise is like wafer thin, but because all of the parties involved are just so kind of good at inhabiting those characters, you're like, I don't care if this is like the most ham-fisted premise you could possibly imagine. I'll go along for the ride. Why not? Like, because Sally Field is totally into the character, and Burt Reynolds is totally into being the bandit, and Jerry Reed is Cletus Snow, and of course Jackie Gleason, God love him, like at the tail end of his career, is playing this character and just like going for it, which I just so appreciate. It is a movie that I look at now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this movie was ever made. There are so many things in it now that are problematic, but are problematic in a way that at least you can kind of explain. Like, even Sheriff Buford T. Justice being obviously racist, when he says, on the radio you sounded taller. But then you're also like, and he's the idiot in this entire thing. Like, it's the Archie Bunker thing. Like, yeah, he's this, but he also comes up short in every which way. So it's like kind of demonstrating like, yeah, and you can be an idiot like this too if you want to be racist or you want to be bigoted. And guess what? You're going to come up short too and look like an idiot. So, but there's just so many delightful little moments in it, and little touches that I just so appreciate.
Nice.
Yeah, there's so much in it. But just go ahead and watch that if you haven't. I think I was watching it on
Eastbound Down.
Oh, and the freaking apparently Hal Needham, when he asked Jerry Reed to write, I think he asked him to write the intro. So it's the Ballad of the Bandit or whatever, Tale of the Bandit. And it's that you heard about the song about Jesse James. And he asked him to write it. And then like 2 days later, he's like, hey, you working on it? It's like, yeah, let me play it for you. And he wrote the song in, like a night and played it for him. He's like, I can change anything you want. And he's like, if you change a word, I'll kill you. Because he's like, that's it. That is the thing. So yeah, just go ahead and watch that. It's great. Soundtrack is really great.
Nice.
Yeah, so many great moments in that, and also kind of just one of those old school movies that you're like, don't think too much about it. Just don't think too much, and you'll be fine. Which explains a lot of my movies, which says a lot about me. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is our show for Week in Geek Wednesday. Thank you all for tagging along. We do so appreciate you listening and watching. If you'd like to watch and listen, you can go to freerangeidiocy.com. All of our episodes there. You can subscribe to the Podbean app. That is audio only. You can also find us on the podcast purveyor of your choice. We're on all the major podcast platforms like Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, all the rest. Search for Free Range Idiocy. You'll find us. If you like video, we are available in full color HD on YouTube and Spotify. That is on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. Yes, and just to warn you, it's not 4K. It really isn't. You don't need us in that high def. However, we are also on the social medias. We are on the Facebook. We are on the Instagram. We are also on the YouTube. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. If you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, things you'd like us to talk about, you send those all to tim@freerangeidiocy.com, and he'll get right back to you because he is just that prompt of a fella. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to sign off and say sayonara. Join us on Friday for the official Free Range Idiocy Friday. You can get all of those episodes. Everything comes in one stream, one place. We don't separate these out, so everything is in one channel. You'll find them all, but join us again for the end of the week. And now I turn us over to the man they call Tim. Take us home, sir. What do you got to close us out?
This goes out to all our geeks out there.
Oh, boy.
The Week in Geek is your hookup. Holla if you hear us.
I can't believe you're going with Scott Steiner to finish off.
Hey, you know, I got a 33% chance.
Okay, that's it. We're done here. We're done.
Do it. Very nice.
Now get the hell out of here!